But yeah, I'm also recording this because I'm not going to be able to make it, so she can watch this later. But overall, Alex, does it went well?
I think so.
Yep. You both were able to tag team to do both visits. Yeah. You got a taste of what it's like to do a double visit in one day.
Yeah.
Yeah. A staggered.
I think it actually worked out really well, the timing of things.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, we do it took a lot of trial and error to kind of figure out, like, if we have two, like, PF sessions in that afternoon, like, how do we stagger it so that, like, you're all sharing the equipment together at the same time, so.
And then I've been meaning to ask you guys where the list is for everybody's, like, IP numbers.
Oh, yeah, it's on the box, but Lucy
Yeah. Oh, it
printed
is?
it out
Okay.
for us a while back.
Do you need?
I need one of those.
Okay.
Yes.
Can you just send me an email after this meeting and I'll remember to print it for you. It's also on box too. I might have actually saved it on Teams. Like,
Is it?
It's
Okay.
it's on boxes, that's where I found it, and then I fixed some of the things, and then I printed it out.
what do you mean by you fixed it?
I just ordered it the way it's supposed to be.
Oh, okay. Yeah. I was like, if you added something different, I need to know. Yeah, okay. Because I guess that stuff gets into NIH, that's why, yeah. Yeah, I could print out for you. I also feel like I added it on Teams.
I mean, if it's on here, I can find it. I just didn't know where to find it. I guess I should just assume that everything is on box.
Mostly, yeah, everything is on box. It's in a folder called regulatory documents. And then there's an Excel sheet in there called staff ID. It's not complete because I'm still missing like a last name of one of the NCRU nurses or phlebotomists. So I just kind of need that done. Yeah, and I just didn't know their last name, and I just haven't had the chance to like follow up to get it. So
Okay.
yeah, I guess
This is the screen I get. Yeah, I can't get that.
Have you entered in your password yet? And it just gets
The third time I tried.
yeah, don't do it where you get locked out. I believe you sent me a screenshot of that already, right?
I have it, but I can't. Okay. Yeah, but that's as far as I get. Because I can see this. Okay.
Yeah.
It's like, how to lock in correctly or not.
I'll have to put you in touch with the IT person then to figure it out. Looks like Rob shouldn't be joining late, so we'll just go ahead and get started. Do you know if the area has a lot of people over there? Or it's fine?
In general, it doesn't.
I'm just gonna.
There's like sometimes Paul and then sometimes that other girl.
Yeah, the other two. The one because of visits are.
So I'll just close it slightly just for okay. So this session is to talk about Keeptrack. So I made some slides, they're a little janky, but just bear with me. Okay. So in this study, we currently temporarily have two REDCap databases. The first one is you're all working on, it's called what we use to collect baseline data, and it's on our EpiBio server. So I mentioned this like multiple times, but just as a reminder for whoever's going to be listening to this, is that within Tricia and I's department called the Epidemiology and Biostatistics department, we manage and maintain our own REDCap server. And so all of the data that we've done for like studies way in the past have always been on this server, and it's just maintained by our own specific DSS group. It's called like the data science something. I don't remember, but they do all the programming, data cleaning, everything of that sort. And so all of the baseline data is currently on this EpiBio server. Hello? Hello, Rob, can you hear us?
Who else is on the way?
Rob, he's our Irvine CRC. He just signed on.
Hi, Rob.
Hold on. Okay. Hi, Rob. So I guess before I keep going, I should just introduce you all. So Robert, I'm gonna stop share so you can maybe have video, maybe not. So Robert is our newest UC Irvine CRC. He's new to our group for the last maybe like 2-3 months or so. And he's been doing an amazing job just kind of keeping everything up at Irvine. I think he is pre-med and going off to med school in about 2 years, I want to say. So that's his, he can't join the mic or camera, but that's his introduction. So I hope I introduced you correctly. And then here, I don't know, Brianna and you guys, we just want to just do like a quick 1-sentence introduction. From everyone here, they are all UCSF CRCs. So
On the reach comeback program course, and then my name's Brianna. I came from being a medical assistant prior.
Hi Rob, I'm Kier, also on the comeBACK study team. Nice to meet you.
You can hear us, right?
yeah,
We're not talking to no one.
yeah,
Okay.
yeah, you can hear.
I'm Alex. I am also a CRC coordinator and I've been in research for about 4 years.
And just to kind of put out there, if you all just have any questions about anything, you're more than welcome to like cross sites, like you can always interact with each other. So if Rob, you have questions about follow-up or how to do something, feel free to reach out to like Davis, San Francisco, San Diego, and then vice versa. If you all have questions, you're more than welcome to reach out to all the other sites too. And then Rob says, nice to meet you all. Okay. So that's the quick introduction.
Not recorded for everyone.
Okay, so just kind of going off back to what I was saying, most of our research studies, our REDCap database is maintained by our EpiBio group. And so the screenshot here just shows you on REDCap what you should see for the baseline data. The second REDCap database is actually the UCSF maintained database. So it's called, this is where we currently collect follow-up data. And this was just basically set up temporarily for us to collect follow-up data on the first few participants while the baseline database was being set up, but now we're kind of just running tandem. Eventually, once everything is set up in the EpiBio REDCap database, all the follow-up data that you're currently collecting will be merged into this database here, and then you'll use this database moving forward to collect follow-up data. So then just like a quick reminder, you log into REDCap. These are the types of questions that you get: radio buttons, text boxes, check all that apply type boxes. So this is important here. For all the baseline data, for all of the data that's currently saved on the EpiBio REDCap database, the second you hit complete, all the data that's entered into the form gets pushed onto SQL tables. And so the reason why this is important is because other studies that are maintained by like a UC Irvine REDCap database, UCSF REDCap database, if you're working on other studies, anytime you enter data on the REDCap form, it stays there. And so if you wanted to make changes, you can make changes in REDCap and the data is current there. But our system works differently in that the second you hit complete, the data gets pushed over to our SQL servers. And so the data is here, but like it no longer lives there, it now lives on a separate server. So which means that like if you are to make corrections and need to address any sort of queries, you need to go onto what's called the Keeptrack database. So I'm just going to show you all, and then we'll resolve a query in real time. So I believe it's this. Okay. This is really hard to do with just one monitor. Okay. So here is just literally the baseline data. Hopefully you all can see it. This here is the UCSF REDCap for follow-up. And here is the landing page for Keeptrack. So Keeptrack is basically where we, all the data lives on the SQL servers. So these are just kind of like some of the current studies that are going on at the coordinating center. A lot of them are more like Alzheimer's type studies, osteoporosis type studies. If you're into like NeoWave, these are like popular NeoWave type studies. So for comeBACK, this is kind of the main page. And so this is actually where all coordinators for all SFCC maintained studies go to correct the data. Depending on the study, sometimes the study fills in what's called docket forms. So this is where you find out the case report forms, operations manuals, things like that. If there are any sort of like regularly generated reports, you would probably find them there. And so here, actually, a couple of tabs are going to be really important. So data inventory is actually the data that's currently on the SQL server. So I'm just kind of just show an example of what the data looks like as it's been entered. Zero. I'm guessing an IP. I'm just gonna, no, it's 280, so. Okay. So this is the data for participant 101 000. Okay, and I'm just going to use this form first. So if you view the data, this is actually what was entered in for them in REDCap. And that's what's currently living on the SQL servers. Okay. So if you ever want to know, like for yourself, like what the data actually looks like, what the data actually is, you can go into data inventory. So for missing forms, this might not be relevant to comeBACK, but just in general though, how it works is that like the system is expecting certain forms to come in for certain visits. So for example, if you had a baseline visit, you're expecting like 15 forms, and then if like form like CRF13 is missing for some reason, it would show up here and let you know that the form is missing. Currently, it's not programmed, but that's just where it will be. So resolve queries is going to be really important to everyone. Resolve queries are basically, once the data is inputted into REDCap and is sent to the SQL servers, there is logic that's written into the forms. And so the system is looking to see whether the data matches the certain criteria. So for example, like if you were to enter someone's weight as 25 and their weight was really 250, there's a range in which we're expecting the weight to be at. So we're probably expecting somewhere between like 100 pounds to like 300 pounds. And so because 25 pounds is a really little and out of range, a query would come up here and just say, are you really sure it's 25 pounds? So I'm just going to show you all the queries that currently exist. There are like way too many of them. But you can see here, for example, for this participant 1, on CRF15A, the staff ID is missing. And so this is where you would actually go and fix the data and resolve these queries. We'll actually resolve a query later on in real time. I just want you to kind of just see what it looks like. So a lot of things here are like, a lot of questions are missing. Some of them are like out of range. And some of them are, no, just either missing or out of range. So there are 3 types of ways to resolve a query. The first one is that it's irretrievable, as in like you called the participant, they haven't answered the phone, and now you just can't get that answer. So you would mark it as irretrievable, and then the query would go away. Another one is going to be called non-error. So if the person really is 25 pounds, you would mark it as non-error, and our analysts know to never look at this again and think that it's a problem. They now know that it's 25 pounds. Never hit other. Never hit other.
Or is it just put it into another list of?
It means that there's something else wrong, and it's a problem with the logic, not with the data itself. Yes. So I've just been told to never hit other.
Why is it an option?
They have 2 options.
Years, I don't know. It's just there.
Okay.
Yeah. So now let's just say, for example, you now have the data and you're going to resolve it, then you would just hit go. We'll resolve this after I kind of go through it. Post queries are basically an area where, let's just say you've already entered in the data, there's no query, or technically that question isn't wrong, or that answer isn't wrong, but now you have different data and you just need to change it. So here's where you actually post the query, and then you yourself will resolve it in no time. So. Correct. Other is the red button you cannot touch. That's right, Brian.
Never be up there.
Rejected forms aren't relevant for the study, and then audit trail is basically a way for us to kind of keep a trail of every single edit that's been resolved. This is actually really helpful when it comes to us reporting things for NIH, is because they're able to see who's changed the data, what the data was changed to, so that there's no way that you as researchers have a way to basically like flip the data. So when I was basically resolving a lot of the queries last week, you'll kind of just notice here that like the data that was entered wrong, like the old value was 190 and then I changed to 170. So it's just like basically a trail for NIH, anyone who's auditing our study to be able to see how we changed the data. So I'm gonna try and share my screen so that we resolve this data in real time. So give me 1 second. Sorry, y'all. I'm just gonna have to be a little patient with me. Rob, can you see my screen to see both a PDF on the right side and then a red cap on the other side? Okay, he says yes. Okay, great. So I'm gonna pull up specifically 002. PF.
I was gonna say, like, put a number for a query. For active data.
Oh no, that's not what I wanted. This is wrong. This is the wrong form. As you can see here, this ID is blank. It says blank right here. In a resolve query, you can actually search by ID number and by form to make it easier for you. You can see here that there's a query saying that the staff ID is missing. So I'm gonna go back to the form here. So how you fix the data is, and I know that the staff ID for this person is gonna be 110. That's the PT that did this. So what you do is, if I can find it, you can actually fix the data within a PDF. You don't have to technically go back. Oh my God, so slow. You don't have to go back to the paper form and fix it. You can do this on the PDF. So what you do is,
Color of textbooks.
yeah, I'm trying to get it here.
Sorry.
Okay, so this number here is 110. And then afterwards, what you want to do is then initial, oops, that's my initials, 7, 20, 23. So now you can see here that the data has been fixed. you all have had experiences where the data, what is this? You've all had experiences where the data is wrong, you cross out the wrong information, you circle the right one, and then you initial date it. So after you fix the data in PDF, then you should save it as whatever the file name is, add your initials and your date. That way our auditors know that the data has been changed on the PDF. So now let's actually go and resolve this in Keeptrack. So you'll go to here, 102, staff ID, so it's missing. So you'll actually then hit go. As you can see in the yellow on the bottom highlight, which that's basically the query that you're resolving. So in the situation here, you would hit 110, and then you save changes. So now the new value is 110. So if I'm going to go back to data inventory now. From 13. And you want to view the data. Now the data has it that the step ID is 110. So that is pretty much how you resolve a query in Keeptrack. Yeah, it's
Tedious.
it's very tedious. It's very tedious, yeah, because not only because it's tedious, you have to fix in here, but then you also have to make sure that the form itself is correct.
Yeah.
So that's why it's so tedious. So that's kind of pretty much how you resolve a query in Keeptrack.
Yeah, if we did do the paper, I don't think I have editing for video on my computer. So if I did do the paper, I just rescan all of them, and then set the CRF and then initial it and say.
Probably. I mean, you guys all have Foxit, I think. Does it not give you the option to edit like add a comment onto a PDF? Try it. I mean, if you don't have it, then yeah, then maybe then the next situation would just be then you would just handwrite it and then rescan it in. But that too is also very tedious. So if you're able to kind of just do it in PDF, that's fine. Yeah. So this actually brings up then when you're actually getting actigraphs back, there is a you know, in CRF 12 where it says has an actigraph been returned. If you fix it on the PDF and just mark that yes, it's been returned, and then you initial and date it, you can go into the resolve query and then just resolve it. So I'm just going to pull up form, I think it's 12. Yeah, so was the actigraph returned? Would it go? And then obviously you would just change it to yes. I'm not going to fix that because I just don't know, but that is how you would resolve was the actigraph returned type thing.
So you're saying we wouldn't need to change it on the PDF form?
You would,
Oh.
yeah, you would. But instead of like having to write it and then rescan it, it's probably easier for you to do it on the PDF. But if you don't have the PDF, then you just need to rescan it. So, and maybe it would be like you just rescan that page. You don't necessarily need to scan the entire form, like the entire packet itself. But we just need to make sure that we somewhere in our box folders show that we have fixed the data appropriately. So, because then how it will work is if we were to ever get another NIH site visit, like Trisha and I would print this PDF. We wouldn't necessarily we would grab the files obviously, but then we would also print this page too and show that we resolved this query on the 20th. I mean, my data verifier and data entry person is very thorough, and even though I think a lot of the handwriting is very legible, some people don't think so. So, yeah.
This is sort of like, I was telling Katie, I was like, is it a 2, a 3, or a 5? Or 6?
So that is how you resolve a query. I think it sounds like a lot to begin with, but I think actually once you actually resolve queries, you kind of get the hang of it. So, yeah. You know what? It depends who you talk to. Actually, my data entry person prefers data entry, does not prefer data cleaning. So, yeah. Okay, so that's pretty much resolving queries. I need to kind of just think with Trisha about like when we want you guys as coordinators to kind of start resolving your own queries, because right now we're having Jenny resolve a lot of them, but as you can see, it's a lot, and I think it's just too much for her to do for all 4 sites, so.
And that's why you just want us to, like, you want us to create a query essentially for the active graph return, so that they have all the rest of the data that's input there.
So honestly, that query for the has the active graph return yet will automatically come up anyway, so you don't need to generate one.
Well, yeah, I mean, it's just, that's why you're saying to just push, to, not to generate it, but to just push the data, like, put into Redcap over and complete that form. Not filling in those because it'll just be there,
Correct, yeah,
but all the rest of the data will be in to do analysis on.
correct.
Just a heads up, I also think their active graphs are getting like stuck in the mail because they checked the tracking and supposedly they were delivered in June, we still don't have.
How many?
At least one that I think for yesterday.
Really?
Yeah,
Okay.
it was supposedly they tracked it to the eighth.
Why do you need this one?
I was just going through the pile.
Sorry, I was waiting.
No, I have it on the. So which one?
Yeah, if you send me the tracking ID number, I might be able to email logistics.
Because I noticed that we also just got a copy from last week. We just kind of.
We did or we did not?
Just got the ones for May, which is kind of a long time. And if
Yeah.
you're doing a strike with, I guess UPS is doing, USPS is doing, there's another strike with that.
I would like to see the tracking number, because I want to see the details of like when they actually dropped it off at the mail, and then if it's been sitting there, or if they had.
Yeah.
So,
I have been regularly going downstairs to pick them up, so I highly doubt that one's from May or.
Because I
Like,
resolved them,
they-
that's why I know that they were in May, because the sheets and they were in May. Those are, there are 2 that I got, I don't know which ones you got, but 2 that I got. This one was frozen station.
I think that's it for data query, sorry. It's okay.
It's recorded, right?
Yeah, it's
Okay.
recorded, I'll send it to you. Oh, and then, Jen, we have Rob on the line. Rob is our UC Irvine
Hi.
coordinator. And this is-
I don't think
Yeah, we can-
yes.
He can see us.
Oh,
You can see us, but we can't see him.
Yeah, he
Got
can see
it.
us. He's actually not on video right now, but he can see us, yeah. And he says hello. So, I will convert this recording, and I'm gonna give it to you in Omna. And then, Robert, I'll also then put it on your box folder too, so that you have it to access anytime you need it. Okay, thanks, everyone.
But as far as, just want to follow up on this,